enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Play ball!
Pitch the perfect idea for a family outing or date night with tickets to the next Salt Dogs game. Nothing says summer fun like an action-packed evening at Haymarket Park. Come root for the home team with a hot dog and a cold drink. Plus, visit saltdogs.com to learn about special events and promotions, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the thrill and excitement of a Salt Dogs win. Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
I tried to hide my cigarette smoking. Then I was rushed into emergency surgery to repair the damage smoking did to my heart. It shocked everyone because they thought I was healthy. Yet because I smoked, I had a severe heart condition that nearly killed me. My tip is, you may be able to hide your smoking from the world, but you can't hide from the damage smoking does to your body.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl Jordan with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Let's talk about trading up. Not what you're thinking. You could never trade her in, but you can trade up her stone if you like. Signify the growth of your love, the challenges you have overcome, or any part of your love journey by trading up her diamond. Whether it's been 5 years, 25 years, or 50, say it with a bling. Big love, big bling. We got you. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Lincoln's new craft cocktail lounge is Bar 48 in Lincoln. Located at 2639 North 48th Street, Bar 48 offers everything from cocktails to beer to wine and so much more. With summer right around the corner, you can always enjoy Bar 48's frozen beverages. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their live music performances every Saturday night. Make plans to visit Bar 48 on North 48th Street in the heart of the University Place neighborhood today.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call today at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yo, what up? What's up with it, Austin? Austin, don't adjust your screen. You see it. You see that. You see that growth back there, boy. You see what time it is. Don't let that fool you. It's the Lincoln version of Frederick Douglass in the house. You know who Frederick Douglass is?
I know who Frederick Douglass is, Jay. I went to high school.
All right. I'm just, well, a lot of things have changed. Also, I don't know if they zapped your head yet. I know you're pretty smart, but they're trying to erase some of your guys' memories. I just want to make sure that I got to bring it back here.
Yep, no, they're not getting me. They're not getting me. I'm on old school Jay Foreman. I stay educated. It's what I do.
Yeah, we were brought to you by the Mercado, certified Piedmontese, special ingredients at Butcher Shop, 84th and Havelock, 30th Yankee Hill, 85th in Old Cheney / Andromat, and 168th in Maple up there in the O, where Eastrick is probably on his way back to, and almost there in the O or the Metro or O-Town or whatever they want to call it up there. Austin, a lot going on, man. I mean, from the NBA, man, Bloodline, and the Nuggets. That's why I'm wearing my hair like this, Austin. Because I'm trying to connect with Bloodline, from about an 8-hour drive and an hour and 20-minute flight to get his mind right. Listen. The thing is, it was almost going to be Canadian on Canadian crime.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a little bit. You know what I think happens sometimes, Austin, is you see Shea, struggling a little bit. So you're like, okay, we got this game in the bag, and you let up a little bit, and then you let yourself down. That's the perfect opportunity for them to keep the team together. You saw a little bit more life out of Michael Porter Jr., who we talked about, that needed to either get it going or get gone. I'd like to think that he was listening to 93.7 The Ticket down here in Lincoln and took the advice. But then the whole Nuggets team in the first quarter, it was 17-8. 17-8 in the professional basketball game. It reminded me of maybe one of the basketball games I used to coach back in, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, where you couldn't make a layup or make a free throw. And the Nuggets squandered opportunities because I think it was in the third or fourth quarter. Both teams struggled, but when you're the home team, you shouldn't, because that's where your advantage comes from. You're used to the arena, you're used to the situation. And definitely you think that you will catch your, rhythm shooting and scoring points by the third or fourth quarter. And so a little bit of a regret, but it's 2-2, and they knew it was probably going to go to maybe game 6 or 7. So now they're in a battle, and they got to hope that OKC doesn't find their strong footing in that flight home. And sometimes in professional sports, and football is the same. If you get let off the hook, aka Denny Green, if you let him off the hook, it gives you that confidence, like, oh, they didn't want to put the dagger in the heart, they wanted to negotiate. And there's an old saying in sports, you never negotiate with terrorists. And so, now they're in a full-fledged dogfight for 3 games. It's the fastest of 2 out of 3. And the most important game is game 5.
Right now it is, right? You really set the tone. Whoever wins it takes control of the series. Either, Oklahoma City just has to win one of the next 2 with another home game potentially in store, or Denver steals this one on the road and then would come home for a potential a game 6 that will obviously have the series tied 2-2. Jay, I think it's interesting when you look at kind of the evolution of this series with Denver, using Oklahoma City's kind of brain fart at the end of the game to steal game 1. OKC flexes its muscle in game 2, wins in a blowout. Jokic really struggles. Then game 3, I think you really see that championship resolve and experience from Denver, where that's a game that they could have folded, but they hit the big shot at the very end with Aaron Gordon to end up winning that game. Russell Westbrook makes the right play. That was Denver's championship pedigree on display. But I do think that this game shows us something about Oklahoma City, and that's what they learned from last year. I think last year's team probably folds after that third quarter that saw them go from up 6 at half to down 5. I mean, Denver won that third quarter 33-21, highest offensive output by any team in any of the 8 quarters if you look at it team by team. Denver put on a bit of a clinic there in that third quarter. Coming out of halftime, they looked better, but Oklahoma City said, nope, enough is enough. They put the clamps on, held Denver to just 18 points while putting up 29 of their own to win it by 5. Not a thing of beauty, but Jay, whether it's a playoff series like this in the NBA or in Major League Baseball, or sometimes it's just a week in the NFL where 2 relatively evenly matched teams, you have one, Oklahoma City did win 18 more regular season games, but Denver, I don't think, they're a regular 50-win team. You probably give them a little more credit than that. 2 teams that certainly deserve to be here at the very least. Sometimes you just got to gut one out. Sometimes you just got to see what it is you're made of. The shooting numbers weren't pretty for either side, but I honestly felt better about Oklahoma City coming out of this game with a win than I think I did before. I think they learned something from last year.
Yeah, and I think it's you don't know what type of grit or toughness you have until you're tested. I mean, I think let's face it, up until really game one, which Denver had to, I think, overextend themselves to win that game. Oklahoma City hadn't been tested for probably for the last 2 or 3 months. You know, they kind of really coasted and just blew through the regular season, went through the first round, and then here comes Denver, and Joker really led them and really, you know, forced Denver and his castmates to win that first game. And so that was the first time adversity. They came back and you kind of made it right in game 3. But then when I'm telling you, you get let off the hook, but then also you show a little bit of championship resolve or a little bit of grit that you didn't, you know, factually have last year. You can gain that confidence. And I would not be surprised that this ends up being 4-2, just like that. And I always say the pain of discipline, in which the pain of discipline or finishing a game or taking advantage of a team's opportunity, right? Which is sometimes you have to really, really lie to yourself and force yourself to play harder or do the things that are simple, is well worth the pain of regret because it's not lost. And, you know, I think the is going to Oklahoma Denver, getting into the championship. You know, if Denver doesn't game, you know. Can you hear me, Austin?
You're cutting in and out there. You're back now. I got Oklahoma City. I got Denver. That's pretty much it in that mindset. Yeah. But I heard you say you could see the series flipping from 2-1 Denver to 4-2 Oklahoma City really fast. And I can absolutely see that as well, right? It's been a grind for Denver to get to this point in the year, right? Jokic is in good shape despite his size, right? But that's a lot of pressure on him, right? That's where Jamal Murray stepping up throughout the regular season could have paid dividends for Denver now, where every 2-3 minutes that they can save on a nightly basis in the regular season could come back to help them here at the end of the year. But Jay, I'll ask you this. Which series is more likely to end 4-2? Would it be the Oklahoma City Denver series or the Boston New York series?
Yeah, I'm going to reluctantly say this Denver series. When I listened to Joker after that last game, he kept mentioning how physical the game was and how physical and I guess intense that the Oklahoma City D had him, and how they wore down a lot mentally. And so I'm going to go with that series, considering that the way for that game.
And getting,
you don't get information.
Yeah, I mean, getting mentally worn down too, man. That's Jokic's superpower, right? I mean, obviously, big, strong, physical guy, elite touch. Probably a better athlete than we give him credit for at his size, even if it's not in a traditional sense. But you also think, Jay, about the mental burden that Jokic has had to carry for the Nuggets after they fire Malone with like 10 games to go in the regular season, right? I'm sure some of that is still weighing on him. That's a burden that he's never, ever had to carry before, right? So it's probably taking even more out of him to help David Adelman along, probably calling more plays, probably being even more vocal on top of the normal, regular personal stresses. And not to say Oklahoma City's not stressed. They're in this position like they were last year. They have lessons to learn. But there's a difference, I think, between the weight of expectations like Oklahoma City as a young team and learning to stand up underneath them versus a guy like Jokic. It's a different kind of stress for him to take on this additional role at this stage in his career. Like, he's in his prime. He is. He should be in his prime for another 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. And that's not when you want to be dealing with a coaching change and dealing with a supporting cast that you have to, drag kicking and screaming to be the best version of the Denver Nuggets that they can be. Right now, for Nikola Jokic, it would be better if he had that coach in place. You thought he had it with Malone. Turns out a front office thinks otherwise. So I think for Jokic, this is going to be a big rest of the series for him to see what he's made of. If they win, I mean, his legacy is untouchable at this point. If they lose, well, it's hard to blame. I mean, they were outmatched. Oklahoma City was the better team throughout the regular season, but it'll be really interesting to see then if Oklahoma City does wrap this series up, what some of those comments are from Nikola Jokic and how much longer he wants to deal with these particular stresses and how quickly he wants or needs that long-term coach in place as he plays out the rest of his prime and probably the next 5-7 years, and then seeing what's next in basketball for him.
Yeah, it's a tough time for him because I'm sure he had some, personal feelings for Malone, but then also not absolved of himself of some of the behaviors inside that locker room if you read the articles. So it's going to be a lot of self-reflection, and anytime you lose, things come out of the woodwork. And when you don't have that true leader there, because you got to think whoever comes in next to be the full-time coach, he has to pick. And so either he has to fully commit or he's got to look other places. It's no different than Giannis, where Giannis just came out with his statement said he'd be open to looking at other places. If you're open to looking to other places, you are gone. What's the old saying I say, Austin? If you go in the portal within 24, 48 hours after a football season, you've been in the portal since week 6. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's just part of it. But I also think that for Jokic, he has to find a fit for him to finish out his career. He doesn't live here in the offseason, so really staking his flag somewhere really probably isn't as important. I know Denver and the organization is definitely right behind him. His partner in crime, Jamal Murray, is there for the foreseeable future. So he really has to make his decision, but then also really lean on his partner in crime and decide how they want to do something. Because Joker isn't at the point where he can go somewhere and put the whole franchise and start over on his back. He has to find out what to do. And really, I think deep down that Mike Malone firing really hasn't hit him yet. Because, he had to finish out a season. He had to really try to win an MVP, but then also, really get the team. He had to show some leadership skills. That's what you saw in that first game against Oklahoma City, right? And if you watch him, he's been a lot more vocal since Mike Malone's been gone. That was Mike Malone's job, and so he had to take on that. That's very taxing. And so he has to do a lot of self-reflection or reflecting after the season, but he's not the only one because, we move on to Giannis. That is going to be the next big story. And the crazy thing about it is the two most happy people about it is the GM down there in Dallas and Luka.
Right.
When you think about it, Luka didn't really finish out the season well. He kind of looked out of shape, right? That's kind of was the assumption, and that's the reason why you traded him. And then your boy down, Nico? He was in trouble. I mean, he's getting, death threats and booed everywhere. He did look a little bit more on the right side, once Luka, kind of flamed out in the playoffs. But anytime you're not in, the first in the news cycle is probably good for both the organization and both individuals. Because whether, you wait to see how Denver finishes up, but more importantly, how Giannis in the tidal waves that come out of Milwaukee affect the whole rest of the offseason, which then will affect the next season. Because if you don't think Joker is watching what Giannis is thinking or doing, you're crazy. Not that they might be able to hook up and be like superpowers, but everybody's making moves. KD is just waiting in the wings. He's probably off somewhere in Spain chilling right now. He has a decision to make. Bradley Beal doesn't really as well, but, he's in the mix. He's probably a second or third tier. There's a ton of guys. LeBron, right? He can make a decision or not. And that's a family decision because his son's involved with the Lakers franchise. There's a ton that's going to be going on as soon as the NBA Finals is over, but it's starting to catch wind right now with Giannis taking a week or so break. So if Denver is closed out the next 2 games, I can guarantee you will find a tea leaf from the Joker within a week or two of him being back. I think he's from Serbia or wherever on his thoughts on what he wants to do for his future.
It's really interesting that you bring up Luka Doncic in this conversation because, Jay, full stop, I'm a bigger fan of Luka Doncic's game, perimeter creation, perimeter scoring, versatility, right? You can play the 1, you can play the 3, whatever you need him to do. But I wouldn't knock anyone for saying that Giannis is the better player right now. Even though Luka's maybe a little bit more well-rounded on offense, being a 3-level scorer, Giannis is the most dominant paint presence we've seen since prime Shaq. I mean, if you look at the numbers, look at how he plays, does it in wildly different ways, right? Shaq wasn't dribbling from the perimeter or in fast break as often as Giannis was. Absolutely. I get that. But Giannis's, percentages at the rim in the near mid range, are Shaq-esque. He's putting up double-doubles, recording triple-doubles, and Strick Jay. My bad. I know you're not Strick. I talking NBA. We just got done with that. And Jay, I feel like Giannis, dare I say, gets it a little bit more. I don't think that Luka is lazy, right? He's put on a little bit too much weight. That's obvious. But I think he's a hard worker. I do think he works on his craft. I also think he's younger than Giannis. And I also think that Luka had a little bit easier of a transition to America in Dallas with the pieces he had around him. Having Dirk there when he first got there, having the trade for Kyrie, having everything built around him. I'm not going to say Luka didn't have to work for it, but think about what Giannis had to do. Think about how long and gangly he was, the work he's put in to transform his body. He's rocked up like Mount Olympus style. And I don't just make that a reference to Greek mythology because he's Greek. But like Giannis is rocked up. Giannis shows up every day to compete. Giannis, in English, is still a good talker. He gets so many good points across in the media. And I feel like it's really sunk in to Giannis. He was older than Luka, absolutely. But I think it's really sunk into Giannis what it means to be the face of the franchise. The Luka news was shocking because it happened dead of night, because it went to the Lakers, because of the conspiracy theories behind the scenes with Dallas, right? There might not be a more shocking move in the NBA in our lifetime. I'm willing to believe that. Right. But I would also believe that the Giannis trade could be a bigger deal for a franchise. As much as I enjoy Luka and enjoy watching him play, Giannis is ready-made superstar. There is no learning curve for Giannis right now. He is plug-and-play face of a franchise, and I think he's worth at least as much as what the Lakers got for Luka, if not even the package the Lakers should have gotten for Luka. Giannis is that good. He's going to change a franchise from day one.
Yeah, Giannis is a more established player, but I like your point where, he had the harder road, and that I think that's helped him get it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Luka seemingly been playing professional basketball since he's been 14 years old. So his transition and the ease of when he's been able to essentially get off the plane and be a factor is totally different. And so maybe he doesn't appreciate the work or whatever he had to do to get to the point, whereas Giannis understands the grind. You got to think where Giannis was just I remember when he got drafted, you barely had any film, looked like it was VHS. He didn't look like an NBA player. He looked like he was about 16 years old. And then obviously he changed and matured overnight. But then also I think the grit and the want to and the dedication is a little bit at a little bit higher level than Luka. Now, whether that's based on their upbringing, their situation before they got in the NBA, whatever it is, obviously, Giannis gets it and he wants to get it. And here's the biggest thing I think about Giannis and what makes him a more, I guess, Americanized and worldly superstar, right? Especially on the court. He wants to get better. He wants to learn. He's always thriving for bigger and better things. And he's very thoughtful. When he talked about the year after they didn't win the championship, so they won the championship, didn't win it. And he said, Michael Jordan went to the, playoff or played this many years, went to the playoffs this many years. He won 6. You're not going to win it every year. So you always have to find a positive in it. And so Luka's not at that point. For some people that think as a professional athlete, there's no way in the world you should be 15, 20, 30 pounds overweight consistently for the last 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. Period. Yes, he's young in the NBA, but he knows right from wrong, right? Because he's been able to do some other things as far as control his career that he has to. So that's a choice he has to make. And it's a choice that Dallas made, but I guarantee you both of them are sleeping a little bit more easy at night, considering the big names or the bigger names that are going to be on the move and on the move, possibly in the offseason, that will allow them to kind of be under the radar. And you got to think, up until me and you just talked about it, anytime you talk about the NBA in the offseason, Luka was not in it. He was not in this conversation. Just a year ago, he was right up there with Anthony Edwards. If you remember, Stephen A. Smith asked Anthony Edwards, walking to a game, who was better between, I think it was himself, Anthony Edwards, Luka, and maybe Shea Alexander, maybe, or there's a third one. And he said, without a doubt. Now, I guarantee you if that same walk went, his name would not be in it. And so we'll see what happens, man. It's an interesting time. But you know what? That's why they get paid the big bucks. And that's why we always have something to talk about, even on a beautiful Monday, 90 degrees, no wind. I don't know what's going on in Nebraska. It's been a beautiful last couple of days. Also, I would strongly encourage people to go to the Mercado. This is a perfect grilling day, even though it's a little warm. Coming off a weekend pre-Memorial Day, this is time to get your grilling game tight because you don't want to have Memorial Day party or barbecue and not be able to have good things to pull off the grill. But we're going to pull off the radio, take a quick break, come back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, old school, the new school way. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl Jordan with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Let's talk about trading up. Not what you're thinking. You could never trade her in, but you can trade up her stone if you like. Signify the growth of your love, the challenges you have overcome, or any part of your love journey by trading up her diamond. Whether it's been 5 years, 25 years, or 50, say it with a bling. Big love, big bling. We got you. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Lincoln's new craft cocktail lounge is Bar 48 in Lincoln. Located at 2639 North 48th Street, Bar 48 offers everything from cocktails to beer to wine and so much more. With summer right around the corner, you can always enjoy Bar 48's frozen beverages. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their live music performances every Saturday night. Make plans to visit Bar 48 on North 48th Street in the heart of the University Place neighborhood today.
Spring has arrived, the temperatures are rising, and it's time to get your equipment ready for the season. Landmark Implement has high-quality used John Deere planters, sprayers, and tractors, priced to move and ready to work for you. Take advantage of unbeatable deals and flexible financing to upgrade your operation without stretching your budget. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or browse our full inventory online at landmarkimp.com. Before these deals are done, experience the Landmark difference.
Play ball! Pitch the perfect idea for a family outing or date night with tickets to the next Salt Dogs game. Nothing says summer fun like an action-packed evening at Haymarket Park. Come root for the home team with a hot dog and a cold drink. Plus, visit saltdogs.com to learn about special events and promotions, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the thrill and excitement of a Salt Dogs win. Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes. Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you Go Big Red!
I tried to hide my cigarette smoking. Then I was rushed into emergency surgery to repair the damage smoking did to my heart. It shocked everyone because they thought I was healthy, yet because I smoked, I had a severe heart condition that nearly killed me. My tip is, you may be able to hide your smoking from the world, but you can't hide from the damage smoking does to your body.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, Old School the New School way. A lot has been going on, Austin. And some, I wouldn't say call it groundbreaking news, but it's some odd news. It was almost as odd as the sale of the Charlotte Hornets for, I wouldn't say pennies on the dollar, but definitely got fleeced by the hedge fund guys from Chicago. Michael Jordan has decided to be a contributor, I guess during the playoffs and maybe for the foreseeable future, obviously mainly with the Peacock Network. It's odd because Jordan is obviously in anything outside of anything that he really wanted to do has been off the grid. I mean, he wanted to wear cargo shorts at every golf course that he played at. He didn't, high-end places didn't like that. He built his own course. That's pretty sweet. Big contributor to the North Carolina, obviously, athletic department, and we know the Jordan brand, so forth and so on.
He loves Hubert Davis. I love that about him.
What'd you say?
And he loves Hubert Davis. I love that about him.
Yeah, he likes Hubert. Yeah, because they always could beat up on him. And then he's done some other things. Jumped into NASCAR and is really loving that. Even he has a, not necessarily NASCAR, but it's like street racing bike, crew that he sponsors. So he's definitely, fulfilling those competitive juices as much as he can, as far as in another arena that he doesn't have, firsthand experience with. But now to jump into TV, which is going to be interesting because it's a different type of critique that he's going to face, right? And I think Michael Jordan is superiorly intelligent as far as the basketball game, and not because anybody's heard him talk about the game, because he didn't. I mean, The Last Dance was the closest that you got as a look into what really made him tick by the different stories, so forth and so on. Now you're really going to see the basketball magician, I guess a savant or whatever you want to call it, really break down basketball, really break down different teams, really break down what it takes to win. And, I think it's going to be a treat. And maybe it's something he's been really maybe fighting to get into or looking forward to get into. Either way, I think, after the first couple of weeks or a couple of months, I think it's going to be a pretty sweet deal to hear Michael Jordan on a somewhat consistent basis put himself out there, not through a statement, not through a off schedule interview, maybe the interview that he got interviewed in the golf locker room, with the tie on, smoking a cigar, that's on YouTube. That I'm talking about real deal, lights, camera, action, live TV, really getting it off the cuff. I think is going to be pretty special.
I hope you're right. What gives me a little bit of pause is the Tom Brady experiment. Tom Brady didn't necessarily translate. And I don't know how much of that is because of his part ownership stake in the Raiders, how much he could be around versus not be around. I will not argue that Michael Jordan, doesn't know the game. He knows the game, right? He's Michael Jordan. We know that he's basketball. We know he can break it down. But it doesn't necessarily always translate to TV, especially not right away, right? I think there are ways that they can use Michael Jordan that would really amplify him, right? I don't know if he would be the best fit with the guys on inside the NBA, right? They each other a lot. They go back and forth. And again, I'm not going to say he doesn't have personality or couldn't handle it.
He got thin skin, though.
Maybe a little bit, right? How would that play on TV? You don't want him storming off. You don't want him trying to, cross up his host or turn it into a one-upmanship game. But at the same time, maybe that would be better for him because you don't want this NBC crew just to defer to him. If he says something that's wrong or something that they think is off base, will they be comfortable challenging him? I mean, this is Michael Jordan. Maybe they've met him. Maybe they've rubbed elbows with him or something before. But the best TV, especially, is when these people, either build on each other and their points and they amplify it, or there's some contention, right? Someone says, well, I see it a different way. Mike, Michael Jordan should probably have the last word. If someone analyzes the game, they see something, Michael Jordan says, oh yeah, that's a good eye. I appreciate that you said that and you saw that. Here's what I see to add onto what you're doing. I hope they don't put Michael Jordan in a box and make him so rigid and stilted that you can tell it's his first time doing, really extended TV for something like this. I hope that these people are okay with going back and forth with him, that he's okay with that, challenging him a little bit here and there. And I hope it doesn't devolve into just a bunch of, coach speak, essentially, or just a bunch of agreeing and always letting Michael have the last word because he's Michael Jordan. Because, basketball's back on NBC. That's something I didn't grow up with. It went away before. I know a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for that. And cool, the NBC is trying to stoke that and trying to feed it. Just make it count, because you really only get one shot at a first impression with Michael Jordan doing basketball analysis on TV. Make it count. It needs to be awesome, because it could be really awesome.
Yeah, the Tom Brady thing, I really, I didn't think he was too bad. I mean, obviously, I think he was a little bit inexperienced, but, I think when you first heard Tony Romo, he wasn't very good. And Tony Romo, I think, is worn on people as well, and also coaches and players. It'll be interesting, the dynamic and what is set forth for Michael Jordan. He's a control freak. He's been able to control the narrative in every single thing that he's done in his life, and it's worked out really well for him. So TV is something that you generally can't control, besides of saying that what you will and won't do, and he'll have a long runway to decide what he's feeling comfortable with and not. Jordan can talk trash with the best of them. It'll be interesting to see if him and Barkley mend their friendship. That was really petty for Jordan to be upset with him. And what he does, it could be just a one-on-one type of studio thing, which he's done. He's very comfortable with. I mean, when you hear some of his interviews back when he was a player, he was very, very humble and very, very thoughtful and very, very informative as far as what it took to win, and then obviously how they won, as far as their opponents. And so it'll be interesting to see how they do it. And it's probably been in the works for a couple of years. I don't think Michael Jordan does anything on like, hey, call you up on a February 1st on a, odd winter day. And then, they're trying to get something going here, before the playoffs or finish before the, NBA finals or playoffs. It's something that's probably been floated out and probably thought about, and then obviously moved forward in a very slow and snail's pace. So it'll just be interesting to see what the payoff is, because one thing Jordan's not going to do is open himself up for criticism at this point in his life and his brand. Considering, the sale of the Hornets, even though you walk away at $3 billion, could have got more. And, he makes a ton of money from, Jordan and all that stuff. He doesn't have to do this. So he's going to make sure it's going to be well worth his time. And then more importantly, protects himself and his brand, moving forward. So, there's
really interesting then, Jay, just the difference in approach between Michael Jordan and LeBron, right? Both, in the conversation for greatest basketball player of all time, both go about their business in very different ways. I don't think LeBron is going to fade into the spotlight like Michael Jordan did. Now, some of that is, young kids, one of them playing in the NBA or the D League right now in Bronny. Bryce is on his way up, headed to college at some point. LeBron has always been forward-facing and front-facing, right? Not really reluctant about it. Sure, maybe he had to grow into the spotlight at times, but I don't think you're going to see LeBron disappear. He's talked about wanting to get involved in ownership to some degree, like Michael Jordan did. If we went, 10 or 15 years with only, like quarterly or every, 6-month statements from LeBron at these weird one-off interviews, that would be such a departure from the brand, the persona that LeBron James has built, right? Michael was able to get away with being a little more private, a little more contained. I mean, obviously he's a celebrity, he's out there, but not to the same degree that LeBron is. So to see that juxtaposition, I wonder how much LeBron is watching Michael. And I wonder how much Michael's watched LeBron, and to see how those two feed off each other as LeBron gets near the end of his career.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the things that Michael obviously was able to take advantage of the media cycle and not the lack of like intensity. And then whereas LeBron is which is a different in personality, where he controls the narrative by participating in the media. Jordan would just be ice cold and you wouldn't hear from him for years or months until the NBA season would get started. And so it'll be interesting to see if Jordan kind of leans on LeBron and look how maybe he did his podcast and all that stuff that he's doing and versus what he used to do, because it's drastically changed probably 15, 20 times. And obviously it's something that he can't do like he used to do. And so he has good, smart people around him. I'm sure it'll be, small bits and pieces and then grow if it's something that he wants to move forward with. I doubt you're going to see him on every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night or anything like that. But I think, for the little time or the if you get him for a lot, it's going to be, must see TV, because anytime you can get somebody with his intelligence, his background, and his success, on and off the court, and then also knows what it takes to win. Doesn't matter the era that he played in, is going to be pretty special. So another thing that's special, Austin, which is crazy, is our boy Chris Berman dialed back up with ESPN for 2029. Look, Chris Berman is awesome. Has always been awesome. Isn't on as much, obviously, getting a little bit older, but he is one of the OGs, and it makes me wonder if, first of all, with NFL primetime and Tom Jackson, I'm not sure of his health, but those two together were great. And you transitioned into with Teddy Bruschi and Moss and all those guys, Jeff Saturday and all that stuff with the pancakes. But still, Chris Berman, when he does his NFL primetime, is must-see TV. And it's not a big role. I wonder if at what point in time when it was really, really popular, did he somehow have some ownership into ESPN? You get what I'm saying? Because he's without him, ESPN is not what it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank. And plenty of other ones. I mean, you got Kenny Mayne that started there, Rich Eisen, everybody who's there.
Who's back with ESPN? That was just announced today.
Right. Yeah. And Stuart Scott, and guys like that have more than paved the way for the McAfees and Stephen A. Smiths and everything like that. And the way that, it's grown to, a conglomerate. You got to think when they first started, I bet you they were in a bootleg studio, and now they have a campus, a full on campus. And so, he's getting a little long in the tooth, but he's also like a coach, and maybe like Lee Corso, where this is just a part of his life. He's going to do it until he can't physically do anymore. And I'm sure they made concessions on, as far as, not having him on as much and stuff like that. And he's okay with it. But I bet you he's moved into more of a creative behind the scenes. This works. This guy will be long-term successful and in keeping his imprint, kind of behind the scenes. It's almost like, people talk about Michael Jackson and Prince and obviously all the albums and songs that they've had, right? And that's what you see on the forefront. They never talk about all the songs that they've written and all the other artists that they've been able to help be successful, and they are successful right now by either lending a hand or giving them some, critique on what they're doing with their craft. And so I thought it was interesting that he's going to be around for another, 5 years or 4 years, 5 football seasons. So 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. Probably be his last one. But it'd be really, really interesting to see what his role is and what it starts to morph into later in that contract. When you get to the last year or two, is it, a farewell tour, kind of like, you did with like Kobe and all them, or is it like, okay, this is the end of the contract, but this is what's next until the foreseeable future?
It's really interesting because this, I think, is just a good necessary PR move for that Sports network, because of all the stuff that hasn't gone its way in the last 5, 6, 7, however many years. We just had SNL's 50th anniversary not that long ago. That was a big deal. They brought the gang all back together, and that's different than what ESPN is going to do, and that's still some time down the road. But to have not just an OG, but probably the OG of ESPN. I mean, they're from the beginning, didn't really, have any dalliances with other networks in any major way. To have Chris Berman still around, I mean, that's just that's enduring. That's a bedrock sort of guy, sort of personality for ESPN to have. One of those fan service things, and he's still, maybe not top of his game, but Jay, I think Chris Berman's closer to the top of his game than Lee Corso was by the end, or Dick Vitale. And, with all due respect to those two guys in Corso and Vitale, who are legendary for what they did, I've been over their shtick for 5 years, right? Not everyone gets to have the moment where they go out on top, right? Not everyone retires a Super Bowl winner. Not everyone, wins the final game that they play in. But I think if Chris Berman is still going strong in 5 years, if he can call it quits, say, I was around for the first 50 years of ESPN, I left my mark, I did my part, have his final sign off as a part of ESPN's 50th anniversary celebration, that's going to be a whole lot better for him. And I think a whole lot better for that network than, Dick Vitale's stop and start. I mean, he's overcome throat cancer a couple different times, but the shtick's kind of played out, if you ask me. You love his enthusiasm, his joy for the game. I don't necessarily love Dickie V on color commentary. And even Lee Corso. You could see how bad it got toward the end with Coach Corso, who, to his credit, still showed up every week.
Right.
He hasn't been the right guy to replace him. They're still trying to work through it. But you lose and diminish an institution like that on the premier pregame show, maybe in all of sports and College Game Day. It's going to be an adjustment period. It's going to take some time. But I think that the Berman news is welcome news. I think it's a great just idea for ESPN to keep this guy around till its 50th anniversary. To me, it's a bit of a no-brainer at this point. So I'm glad they did the simple thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think of the heat that they've been under, for ESPN, which is Disney, right? Where you think about Mickey Mouse and all that. Hey, they got some smoke in the city the last couple of years, Austin. Whether it's recently with Shannon Sharp or you have, Pat McAfee, kind of flying off the hook and then, calling the higher ups out and so forth and so on. And then the budget cuts where you were getting rid of some prominent shows and prominent people that were part of the process of taking ESPN to the heights that they are. Mm-hmm. And Chris Berman has always been that kind of go-to, right? It's always, and he has that, I know you never met him. I've met him. He has that all shucks. You have met him.
My dad
right.
was on a game show for ESPN that Chris Berman had.
That's right. You told me that. But here's the thing about Chris Berman. When you meet him, first of all, he's about 6'4.5". Okay. And Chris Berman's body type is one of the boys. And that's how he acts when you meet him. He's one of the guys. He's a guy that you would think that I vision Chris Berman being at, if you ever seen the show Rounders, at one of the Boston bars and, talking about the Celtics and the Patriots or whatever sports from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., having a couple beers. Hey, let's share a burger. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about that. And, and that's how he is. But he has a great personality and the delivery. And the reason why I say that's important is because he bridges the gaps from everybody. So whether it's corporate gaps, the everyday gaps of people, the guys that are really studious as far as football goes, because he can get serious about football and about schemes and about players and all that stuff. So I think it was a no-brainer, but I also think it's very interesting how long it's 5 more seasons. And so look, whether it's Michael Jordan, who's the GOAT, right? In a lot of ways and on and off the court, as far as on the court for sure, off the court brand wise, I think he's still the GOAT. I mean, heck, he's been retired for I don't know how long. And Chris Berman is the GOAT or one of the GOATs, or in the most relevant and recent GOATs behind the mic. And so I think it's a pretty cool day for sports media, TV, radio, X, Y, and Z to have both these guys, are going to extend their career. Then obviously Michael Jordan getting started. And
nobody circles the wagons.
The wagons. Like, hey, he loved them Buffalo Bills, though, man. And the coolest thing about Chris Berman, I was in Phoenix and making an appearance down there, and he knew who I was, man. It's like your badge of honor. Yeah, well, I mean, I was playing, but he was like, man, you're having a pretty good year and stuff like that. So, and he's not afraid to call you out. He had me on a high. Now, I will tell you this though, Austin. Him and Tom Jackson, we were playing at that time the Washington Redskins. I had a pretty good game. I had all my family there. Steve Spurrier was the coach. They kind of ran this kind of a hard route, man-to-man defense. And my guy blocked, so I blitzed. But the other guy ran past my linebacker mate, who they highlighted your boy. I got to ask him about that. Yeah, well, Tom Jackson too, man. He should have known better. But, either way, though, but 2 weeks later, when we, went, I think I went for like 28 tackles. He highlighted it like 2 or 3 times. So, I'm glad to see him back, though. But what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break, come back, and then we'll be back. Put a bow on this Monday, on this beautiful Monday in Lincoln. Sponsored by the Mercado. Jay Foreman, Austin Norman, Old School. We'll be right back.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Play ball!
Pitch the perfect idea for a family outing or date night with tickets to the next Salt Dogs game. Nothing says summer fun like an action-packed evening at Haymarket Park. Come root for the home team with a hot dog and a cold drink. Plus, visit saltdogs.com to learn about special events and promotions, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the thrill and excitement of a Salt Dogs win. Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call today at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Now's the time to schedule your air conditioner service check with Bryant. Make sure it's ready to keep you cool and comfortable when you really need it. Call Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111.
Make plans to join 93.7 The Ticket and the Amon Green Foundation for the first annual Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament on Monday, June 9th at Wilderness Ridge. It's a four-man scramble starting at 11 a.m. that will feature former Husker greats like Amon Green, Johnny Rogers, Niles Paul, Tony Davis, Adam Carricker, Vershawn Jackson, and more, with great prizes and great golf. Sponsorships are also available. Call or text us at 402-464-5685 with questions, or sign your team up online at theticketfm.com. Registration goes through May 30th.
Lincoln's new craft cocktail lounge is Bar 48 in Lincoln. Located at 2639 North 48th Street, Bar 48 offers everything from cocktails to beer to wine and so much more. With summer right around the corner, you can always enjoy Bar 48's frozen beverages. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their live music performances every Saturday night. Make plans to visit Bar 48 on North 48th Street in the heart of the University Place neighborhood today.
Spring has arrived. The temperatures are rising, and it's time to get your equipment ready for the season. Landmark Implement has high-quality used John Deere planters, sprayers, and tractors, priced to move and ready to work for you. Take advantage of unbeatable deals and flexible financing to upgrade your operation without stretching your budget. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or browse our full inventory online at landmarkimp.com. Before these deals are done, experience the Landmark difference.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list, new Canyons at $8,500 off list, new body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at cobblecars.com. Stock numbers G121492, G187747, and G196599.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman. Quick segment here before we turn to Ticket Week. Next, got my man Tom Chattel about to come on and get busy.
No, sir.
And,
no, it's not Tom. We thank Tom for his service. Tom will be back with us in time for fall camp.
Oh, okay.
Knuckleheads talking baseball.
Oh, hell no. Hell
That's
no.
the new deal. Mondays at 6. That's the new deal.
Man, that can't happen, man.
Well, too late. It's already happened. We had our first episode last week. Thank you very much.
No, I turned it into my two favorite knuckleheads, my two proteges, man. You know, I don't know which one I like on Mondays or not, but I like both of them anyways every day of the week. Austin, 2-1 Timberwolves Warriors. I'm going Ant-Man. He is savage. He representing MPLS to the fullest. I don't even care about the Celtics and Knicks. That's just like they're a bootleg version of the old ones. I'm just ready to watch Ant-Man tonight.
If they go up 3-1 on Golden State, that would be quite something. Steph Curry being out and all. And Jay, I think you're right. I do think that's what happens. I don't think Golden State knows how to play without Steph. They were competitive. They were spunky in the previous game. You can tell just how different that offense is. Jimmy and Buddy are fine, but Draymond's not hitting 4 threes yet. That's not going to happen. Kevon Looney, doesn't scare you. Pajemski, we'll see what they get from him. Minnesota has its team, has pretty much its full complement of players. They know who they are. Not going to say Steve Kerr's not a good coach. He obviously has some experience on his bench as well. But I think we're really starting to see, like we did at times in the Rocket series, it's become even more obvious now, just how much Steph Curry means to the Warriors. It's one of those things we can know or generally understand, but then you see how different it looks without him out there on the court. His gravity, his tough shot taking and tough shot making. And yes, even the stupid turnovers from time to time that you have to live with Steph Curry. I just trust Minnesota so much more right now. If Minnesota, wants to prove that the last year wasn't a fluke, that, they didn't just get lucky, that they earned that win, this is where you take that next step of growth. You bury a team without its best player, one of the most important players, not just in the NBA right now, but in NBA history. And you say, you know what? Sorry, them's the breaks. We're not cutting you any slack just because, we're on the road and you're at home. I like the Timberwolves in this spot, Jay. I think everything is shaping up for them to advance to the next round, and it'd be a huge step for them if they get it done tonight. If they don't, you start to wonder if the Warriors can stretch this series out long enough to get Steph back for one last magical run.
Yeah, I think for Ant-Man, his hit list is starting to be legendary. I mean, he's slaying everybody. You know what I'm saying? You remember when Myles Garrett had all the tombstones of quarterbacks? That's what Ant-Man has probably in his game room at his crib because he likes playing the games. But I think they're going to go up 3-1. Then I think Steph is going to shut it down. It's probably just a year lost, and I think the Warriors will still be a factor next year as they revamp that team around Steph, but then also working Jimmy Butler into their culture. See if they can squeeze out a year or two more of Steph, and then I'll see him and Steve Kerr and Draymond right off into the sunset before Jimmy Butler proceeds to mess up another organization while he goes into retirement and selling coffee. Ant-Man and Timberwolves are locked in their identity, and they have continuity too. I thought they would lose a lot with Cat, but I think the emergence of Naz Reid and the timing of when they're starting to catch their rhythm is probably the most important thing. So either way, appreciate everybody listening. We're turning over to the two knuckleheads, Austin and Nick, 1 and 2, N1 and N2. Always tune into them. Actually, with baseball, they're actually very entertaining, very exciting, and then obviously very knowledgeable, even though they don't know who's boss. You know what I'm saying? They still my boys, but I appreciate you listening for Old School.
Give me some credit.
Yeah, I know. You guys are awesome, man. Old School. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Jay Foreman, Austin Norman. We'll holla at you.